Good morning everybody, hope you're doing well, hope you're staying safe, hope you're staying indoors if you can. It's Thursday the 23rd of April and I've got a lot of stuff to get through this morning, so let's get right to it. Oh, before that, obviously, beard's gone. My wife didn't like it anymore, so it had to go, so here I am. This is what I normally like. That was a COVID-19 beard. That wasn't a normal thing for me, so I'm back to normal now. Okay, so let's go. US cases daily, normal stuff. Florida cases then following up. Bit of a glitch in that yesterday, I think, so it might have been right, might have been wrong, we'll see. Then we go to President Trump's comments about Georgia opening too early. The Florida Taskforce comments on reopening the economy in Florida. An increase in testing in Orlando, which is good news. Mayor Demings' task force talking about reopening the economy in Orange County. Mayor Demings also having his press briefing yesterday and talking about a response to the question of when will Orange County reopen. It was a bit coy, but I'll get to that. A medical expert from Miami urging caution in reopening that city and hoping for a spike not to occur if it opens too early. There's an agenda from yesterday's industry task force for Florida where John Sprules was to speak about how he was going to reopen the theme parks. Also, a headline from yesterday that was widely spread that said it could be a long and slow process for theme parks reopening. Universal Orlando sent out a questionnaire to its annual pass holders very recently asking their opinion on if it took certain measures, how would that influence the people's decision to go to the parks. So I've got that coming up, all those questions and some in tweet form. Then we've got photos from Shanghai Disneyland that show potential for social distancing measures there. And then finally, Emirates have started testing passengers for COVID-19 prior to its flights. So we're going to have a little look at that as well. So that's it, a lot to get through this morning. So let's go to that now and then we'll come back and I'll discuss my views on things. Before we go, if you're a regular viewer and you've not subscribed yet, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell. Then you'll get every morning, or whenever I do this, most mornings now it seems, you'll get to the video quickly. If you're new to the channel, also please subscribe. I've been doing this since the end of March, daily or every other day, more daily this time. So yeah, again, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll get it ASAP. Okay, let's go to the news. New cases in the US yesterday were 29,973, which is also up on the previous few days, while new cases in Florida stood at 468. That figure looks very low, and it's different to the figure that's given in Worldometers, who were saying 707 cases yesterday. I think there may be a glitch, as you can see by the zeros there in this chart. Georgia looks set to reopen very soon, and Donald Trump has strongly criticised the governor there. It does seem that President Trump is taking on board more medical advice now, and for him to be actively discouraging states to reopen is something new. Ron DeSantis' task force yesterday was talking about how to reopen Florida as a whole. They talked about how to reopen barber shops, cosmetology shops, and open spaces. There was talk of designing public service information advertising so that people could understand what regime they were going to be under when Florida did open. And the CEO of Universal Orlando says that the theme parks are working on implementing more virtual lines, mobile ordering for food, temperature checks and capping daily visitors to ensure social distancing and making visitors feel safer. DeSantis announced yesterday 2 contracts with the laboratories to increase COVID-19 testing capacity by 18,000 samples per day. Remember that a little over 1% of Florida's population has been tested up to date. DeSantis said that the rapid test will focus on taking samples from long-term care facilities and community-based walk-up testing sites like the 2 that have opened in Broward County last week. Currently, the state labs in Jacksonville, Tampa and Miami can only complete 900 total samples at a time. From the Orange County Task Force meeting yesterday, hospital executives suggested that masks, temperature checks and other enhanced sanitation protocols remain in place through the summer. It appears that there is frustration within the group about when Florida could reopen. Unicorp National Development's President Chuck Whitall said that it sounds like it could be weeks and weeks and weeks. He also said that restaurants were weeks away, not months away from going broke. Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings held a news conference yesterday in Orlando and was asked when Orange County may reopen for business. He gave quite a wordy response, but I'm going to read it for you. I haven't actually found this in any other newspaper or article anywhere on the internet. Mayor Jerry Demings held a briefing yesterday in Orlando. He was asked, when will Orange County reopen for business? His answer was quite wordy, but the salient points are, I cannot give you a precise date for this point because that really is the work of the Economic Recovery Taskforce to look at the phased approach as to how businesses will reopen. He said it could be 6 weeks. He also said one particular business may open on a particular day and another type of business may open on another day, and some of the larger businesses, because of the scope of what they do, could be last to open. He talked about having to readjust quickly if he saw a spike in any particular area. To echo Jerry Demings' comments yesterday about caution in opening up, Dr. Aileen Marty said there needs to be more testing and there can still be asymptomatic patients of COVID-19. If you open up too soon, she said, the economic consequences will be worse. Rushing to open could result in another rapid rise in cases, so it's better to do it right the first time. She said that the reopening needs to come with people wearing masks and social distancing. This is the agenda from yesterday's industry working group. These tweets from Ashley Carter report on what John Sprules said yesterday, that Universal Orlando is considering screening team members who come into contact with guests every day and looking at ways to minimise the sick guests entering the parks and looking at guests wearing masks, at least initially. This headline was seen yesterday in more than one newspaper, with one analyst even suggesting that there won't be any theme parks open until 2021. A leaked survey shows Universal is considering rapid COVID tests for every guest and team member, among other safety procedures. I've included a selection of the questions that were meant for the public, and then here at the end is a whole list of the questions that were going to be asked. There were 21 questions in all, including limiting park attendance to 25%, 50% and 75%. The most intrusive would be to have all guests take a COVID-19 rapid test, which would take 15 minutes, with only guests that cleared that test allowed into the park. New photographs from Disney Shanghai show what guests can look forward to in terms of social distancing once the park reopens there. My guess is that if it works in Shanghai, it's going to be transported to Disney's other parks. Finally, Emirates Airlines began conducting rapid COVID-19 tests for passengers on its flights. I believe this is a trial at the moment and hasn't been fully rolled out through the fleet. So, welcome back. First, the US cases, not going down as I thought they might. I don't know why I thought it would kind of decline linearly. It doesn't appear to be doing that. There's still, if you draw a line between April the 4th and now, there's still a downward trend, but it's kind of a bit ripply, which I didn't expect. I'm no medical expert, so I guess my rationale in my head saying, okay, we should be seeing a steady decline. So I don't know what has to happen for that to happen. And then are we then opening cities and counties and states too early? Has Georgia gone too early? Even President Trump seems to think that is the case, which is like wild for me. President Trump wanted these states open, and there are protests still going on about a lack of opening. So it's going to be interesting to see how Georgia goes. They're going to be like the guinea pig for everybody else. So let's see what happens there. Mayor Demings' comments yesterday, I don't know, they got me a little bit kind of downhearted. I want to see the economy reopen, but not at the expense of public health. I don't want to see people dying just to get the economy open a week or 2 or 3, I don't know, a month earlier than it should be. He said that it could be 6 weeks. He didn't say that in context, so I don't know which business it's going to be 6 weeks. Bearing in mind that our stay-at-home order expires at the end of this month, so we could be back to work on May the 1st. But, it's getting close now. We're 7 days away from that. So, where are we going to be on May the 1st? Still don't know. The task force is supposed to come back to Governor DeSantis on Friday with their suggestions. So hopefully, I don't know, probably not Friday, maybe Saturday, Sunday, it could be Monday, before we know where we're going with reopening. But hopefully there's some concrete dates are going to be put in place. There does seem to be more caution now around opening in Florida, especially this medical expert in Miami really urging caution on opening Miami. Miami's been the centre of COVID-19 really in Florida. Not unsurprisingly, it's a major city and there are more people there than anywhere else. Universal Orlando's decision to send that questionnaire out to its annual pass holders, I think, was a great one. Why not get the opinion of the people who are actually going to be using the parks to see if there's going to be a drop-off, a massive drop-off in people wanting to come, or if people are going to say, well, yeah, whatever you've got to do and we'll still come. And I'm sure Disney will be very interested, and SeaWorld will be very interested in the outcome of that survey and how Universal Orlando implements its decision to when to reopen and how to reopen. The photos from Disneyland Shanghai were interesting. It's just as we see in the grocery stores here, the 6-foot markers. I'm going to talk about more. I'm going to dedicate a video to where I think things are going to be, what's going to be put in place for people to come back to the resorts and the parks, what it's going to look like, just my thoughts. My thoughts haven't really changed too much since I first aired them on April the 6th. I'm not going to talk today about when I think things are going to be reopened. My thoughts, I've just said that, and I'm going to say my thoughts may have changed slightly to a slightly later opening. I'm just getting the vibe now that things might be pulled back a little bit. And if Donald Trump is having a go at a state for opening, then I think it may take a little longer than I first thought, but I'm going to just stay a little cool on that right now. And then Emirates testing its passengers, I think that's going to be a thing. I think that's going to be a real thing. When international travel really starts back up again, I really think there's going to be testing prior to anybody getting on a flight, just to make sure that when they get on the flight, they're fit and healthy. But I still think that when people come into America, they're going to be tested again, no matter what's happened in the country that they took the flight from. So yeah, that's it for today. Lots going on. There's going to be lots going on tomorrow, I'm sure, as well, Friday. Don't think the task force meets on Saturdays and Sundays, so tomorrow could be another heavy day, and then the weekend could be a little less so. But until then, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you the next time. Cheers for now. Bye bye.